my name is Deanna Hamilton, and Ebony presents Date with a Dish, a series that goes back decades. Ebony has partnered with the Coca-Cola Company to bring a conversation over dinner on Black love. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to dishing on some amazing conversation. All right, so pass the dish, and let's start talking about some Black love. You know, one of the things that I always talk about, a lot of people don't know, I was married for 13 years and we were together 15. And one of the things I had to learn in that marriage was, did I ever see examples of Black love? So tell me a little bit about your experience before you were making the decision to marry, your examples of Black love in your life and in your family.
I mean, my experience dates all the way back, before I was born. You know, this year we just celebrated my parents' 50th anniversary. To see them actually stick it out together through the ups and downs, a lot of trials, I wouldn't say a lot of tribulations, but just to see them being able to experience each other in a very special way, and then come full circle 50 years. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And that's big goals to try to reach. So, again, think about it, 50 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time. So, something to be praised, respected, and to honor.
I think my experience was different. I actually grew up, was raised by a single mom. Mom and dad were never married. I never witnessed them in a relationship. And extending that further out, right? Like, in truth, I've never really witnessed, of all of the friends that I had, like literally only one of them had mom and dad, or it was really grandma and granddad, in truth. And so that was kind of my experience. And I'm thinking through that now. It's like, you know, how to be a better man, better husband, so on and so forth. Like, I never really grew up with those examples around me. I mean, I had friends, coaches and stuff like that, but, you know, in my family, it was not really a touch point for me. So that has been interesting.
But I think it is pretty interesting to be able to still recognize what Black love is, even if it's not directly in front of you or under your household.
Right, because my mom, right? I know we're talking about relationships and so on and so forth, but, you know, I know what it looks like to love unconditionally, right? I know what it looks like to have somebody, you know, put me before, or, you know, put others before themselves. And so, like, those examples were there.
So Courtney, tell me, what was it about Kelly? How did you see love in Kelly?
Well, it was everything. See, it's that, right? All of that. I mean, I think, you know, Kelly has a larger than life personality, and I think that I was attracted to that first. I'm extremely attracted to intelligence, and I think Kelly's perfect, right? I will say the thing that probably drove me the most is that in my mind, I had this notion that, like, I wanted to marry somebody who can see me at my best and dare me to go beyond it. Like, push me to be the better, best version of myself. Like, that's not just a professional thing, but push me to love harder and to love more and to be my fullness, and, you know, for me to walk in my purpose. And Kelly did that. Like, she brings the best out. She inspires me to be better than I deserve to be. And so it was mainly that, so. Yeah.
But that is what love is. You know, I have a lot of quotes, but I always say, if a person in your life cannot make you better, then that is not your person.
That's right.
That is not your person.
And I think, too, allowing room for growth. You know, you have to allow your partner to just have the ability to grow. You may be at a certain pace or at a certain level, but having that patience and helping be there for them, I think that's critical and important as well.
So dig in. One of the things I wanted to ask is, what do you know now that you wish you would have known when you were dating or before you got married?
For me, I think it would be to not limit your ability to love. Because before I married my husband, I didn't have children. I was, again, raised in a house where my parents were married. You know, you wait till you have children till you get married. And so I wanted my husband to be, you know, in my mind, we're gonna have, a child together for the first time. We're gonna have all these firsts. And when I met my husband, he had 2 children. And so that was a challenge in a sense, but it also allowed me to expand my ability to love. And to not, even though that wasn't on my list, because I had a list, and single dad of 2 children was not on my list. But because I loved him and because I knew his character, it allowed me to love his children as if they were my own.
That's some strong black love, Robin. Not only were you, get into the relationship of being a wife, but then also accept the role of being a mother. Amazing. I commend you.
For me, I wish I would have known earlier that Robin was my not only life partner but my business partner. So it took us 10 years to get there, 10 to where we actually where I understood just how important she was. She was able to really shine in areas where I'm deficient, and so like the opposites attract kind of thing just really made us a stronger unit, as business owners.
I echo that same sentiment. I think it allowed, I spoke earlier about growth, and understanding kind of his weak points, his strong points, my weak points and my strong points. And I think that's where the mutual respect comes in, even at work, in the workplace. And I think that's important as well, to allow your partner to add value, whether you disagree or disagree, at times, and just going with it.
Because someone very special that we know sung the words, and I'm going to say this for myself, I was a movement by myself.
Yes.
But we are force
He made that song for me.
when we're together. And when we're together, listen, amazing things happen. Unstoppable.
You're not done growing, right? I think as adults, we made it to adulthood, we are who we are. And, we talked earlier about sacrifice. It's a compromise, and there are parts of you that, can't live here anymore. You know what I mean? There's some things about yourself that you have to move on from. I know for me and a lot of my Black women friends, it's like, look, this is who I am. You knew who I was when you met me, right? And you kind of got to let that person go, right? And it's not about becoming somebody else, but you've got to become the wife, right? And so there are some individual selfish qualities that you probably have that you're gonna have to leave behind. Husbands, the same things. Like the way you used to move, you can't move that way no more because we can't move that way. And so I think for us, particularly in our first year of marriage now, it's been a lot of, figuring that out and trying to negotiate it. And I don't think that's something that anybody can prepare you for. It's just something you gotta live through and trust that you're growing towards each other and that you're growing, together.
2 things, right? One, it's that constant process of evolution, right? And being committed to that, right? I think we get trapped in this notion again that you got a list, you got a box, everybody's got to check this stuff off. But it's like, nah, man, we are all growing. And the key is to find a way to grow together, right? And a good friend of mine says, he's like, when you're figuring each other out, cause I actually asked him, I was like, man, you didn't tell me all of this. Because, for me, I talked earlier about how I didn't really have mom and dad together, so on and so forth. And so, I would talk to my married friends and I'm like, hey man, this is a little bit different. And what I was struggling with, it was the switch you have to make to consistently put somebody else first. That's if you're not used to flexing that muscle, right? Because I grew up mostly an only child, you know what I mean? And so if you're not used to flexing that muscle, it's a switch, right? And you've got to consistently practice that muscle. And I asked him, I was like, hey man, what's up, man? And he said something really, really profound. He was like, nobody can really tell you that because your contract is different from my contract. And meaning my contract with my wife, is my contract. And so there are certain things, I know my boundaries, I know trigger points, I know what I can and can't do, and that's unique to my relationship. You've got to figure out your own contract, right? And I was like, touche.
And what's interesting in the Black household, Ebony and Jet was always on the coffee table.
You weren't gonna miss that much.
Everybody had a subscription,
Yes,
and it was on the coffee table.
Yes, it was. And
And it wasn't just one. We would keep the whole year.
I was gonna say, you gotta keep the whole stack.
My favorite was I would start out. I would go immediately to the centerfold, right? And so that was my first black love. The Jet Beauty of the Week was my first black love. That's, to be honest now.
I hear they're bringing that back.
Yeah, they should. Because those representations of just the natural essence of black women. Oh, and all the diverse complexions and hair textures, and oh man, it was just amazing. We never, the things women look, and the things I see women looking for now, like we didn't even factor that right back then, right? It was like it wasn't even considered, but also the end pages. What was on the end pages? Do y'all remember? On Jet. In Jet magazine.
Oh, the number one,
music.
the music, the number one song.
I used to go
10.
immediately from there
Top 10,
to
top
music.
20.
Yes, and that became my life. That molded my life. It became and I just realized that today, years old, when I realized that. But thank you, Jet and Ebony.
I think black love is this right here, right?
Yes.
Like it's the friendships, it's the fellowships. My friends have certainly sustained me, through my first year of marriage, being able to call my sister, my best friend, other, people who are in their marriage journeys, and I'm like, can you believe he did it? And she's like, oh girl, they all do that. And I'm like, this is normal. Yeah, girl, just move on, But that's black love, right? It's the village. It's all the pieces coming together, and nobody does that better than black people. Like we got that part on lock.
We do have that on lock. So we're having this amazing meal, and we're coming up on the holidays. When I look at these flowers, I think Christmas. So what songs and movies do you watch during the holiday that are a must-see during the holiday season?
For me, Almost Christmas. Almost Christmas. I feel like it instills, especially for this young generation, that the essence of the family starts with the patriarch. Despite the trials and tribulations and having lost the matriarch, right? Such as our children experience in this young generation, it just establishes traditions and values that I think they would carry on for years to come. And so I think that's one of my favorite holiday movies that I can watch over and over. It's relatable. I just love Almost Christmas.
We have a new one in our family. I hope you guys will think but Jingle Jangle.
Oh yes,
Jangle,
David Talbot did that as well.
Yeah,
he did
the
both.
kids watched it like 85 times.
Yes.
So now we have to watch it every year.
Yeah.
It's a staple. I had to buy it.
I mean, the music, their hair, the natural hair, they really embraced it. It's really good. Yeah.
Very good.
My must-have Christmas song. But I feel like it's gonna get really judgmental in a minute. So I think, the era in which I, came up and coming up in Atlanta and in the South, I gotta hear 69 Boys Christmas before it ends. If we don't do 69 Boys Christmas, Christmas ain't came yet. Christmas ain't came yet.
Well, I'm like Kelly. I don't have a traditional Christmas song. That I have a non-traditional Christmas song. Mine is Outkast Players Ball.
Absolutely.
It was actually on the Christmas album.
It was.
So it's always stuck with me from '94, the year I graduated. And then the movie is somewhere between. I'm somewhere in the middle between Home Alone and Best Man Holiday. One of those. Yeah.
You took those right out of my brain. Those are my two. You did. Home Alone, yep, and the Best Man. That's holiday.
I like I say the song is Temptations, Silent Night, like by far. I'll sing it all day, try to sing it. Yeah. Oh, you can't beat that, man. You gotta go up. You can't. It's Silent Night, man. And then Christmas movie is actually Christmas Story.
Christmas story.
Yeah, you know, these classic. Yeah, so yeah. I mean, you can't really beat that.
What a wonderful conversation this evening. Thank you so much for joining me at Ebony's Date with a Dish here at Big Oak Tavern in Atlanta, Georgia. Cheers to the holidays and Black love.
Yes.